So, have you ever felt that maybe you weren't reaching your full potential? Maybe you were kind of stuck. Maybe you're just like dwelling in your comfort zone. Maybe there's a fear or anxiety that's keeping you there. So, welcome to this edition's Mindful Monday. We're here to talk about reasons why staying in your comfort zone is or can be holding you back, the fears that could be behind it, and strategies, little mini strategies to help you move on. So if it's your first time joining us, feel free to type in comments or direct message me where you're coming from. If you have any comments, questions, if you have a topic you'd like to hear covered in the future. Also, at the end of the broadcast, I'll put a link in the comments that will, if you follow the link, of course, take you to a place where if you click the button, you'll get a free copy of our weekly PDF cheat sheets, which are basically PDFs like this of what we talk about each week, as well as a hypnotic recording I created on releasing limiting beliefs. So as for today, how does being in your comfort zone and staying there keep you from reaching your goals? So number one, it certainly can keep you from growing personally, right? If you're, kind of just hanging out there. When you're afraid of something, staying in your comfort zone is going to keep you in that fear, basically. And it actually becomes worse. We talked about this in past Mindful Mondays. When we keep avoiding something we're afraid of, it becomes what they call in CBT experiential avoidance, and then it becomes even more intense. And so then you can suffer from it indefinitely or until you deal with the fear, actually. But it becomes worse if you are procrastinating dealing with it. Second way is your comfort zone kind of keeps you from being happy, right? I mean, if you're not reaching your full potential, maybe you struggle with self-confidence or self-esteem issues. These problems can grow unless you kind of like take the steps outside of your comfort zone, which build that resilience, and also begin addressing them, going to the core of the issue, if you will. So stepping outside of your comfort zone is going to help build confidence, and it's also going to help you to see yourself in a better light, which is building resilience, right? Number three, it can make you feel kind of trapped and unhealthy overall. So when we stay in our comfort zones, we sometimes continue to do not so positive habits, or we neglect to do the positive things we want to do. So if you're stuck in your comfort zone, you're not really happy to begin with, maybe you're not exercising or eating as healthily as you want. So it kind of tends to domino effect, if you will. So staying in your comfort zone can basically keep you from recognizing and reaching your goals, right? It can leave you feeling left behind if you're comparing yourself. Not that we should, but that's, something that can happen. Sometimes you're just feeling like a loss of passion. You're not feeling passionate about what you are doing. You might be settling for less. You might be experiencing a lack of growth for sure. You might be feeling kind of unprepared for any changes. Your health and self-confidence are likely not the greatest. You might be being passed up on by opportunities or not putting yourself out there for them. And you also can be living in fear, whether it's consciously or not. And this is all going to keep us from being happy and grateful for what we do have and or for progressing on. So there are four common, and I'm sure there's many more, but four common fears that can be behind, feeling stuck in that comfort zone. And of course, there are times, I'm not saying comfort zone is bad, there are times that comfort zone is necessary if you're like healing, something like that. But when it comes to be fear or when you're feeling like it's time to move on and you really can't or don't want to, that's what we're talking about today. And so the four common fears behind staying in that comfort zone is, of course, number one, fear of failure, right? I know we all have a fear. Nobody wants to fail, of course. And there is no failure, only feedback to begin with. But, let's talk the way normal people do. So we all fear, not being good enough or failing. So this is a common fear, and it often stems from our childhood, right? It brings up feelings of being judged or embarrassed. We all have them. And so the number one way to overcome this fear is, of course, like to just not really worry about the outcome, to focus on the process and your goals, your path to success. So focus on what you do want, basically, right? And that's just a one sentence. It's not like an actual technique, just to let you know. I understand it's not so easy. Number two is fear of success. So we have fear of failure, and we also have fear of success. So this stems from many different things, though. And so it can be a fear of change, right? Because if we're, I'm comfortable, what if I'm not as comfortable? It can be fear of responsibilities, taking on new things. It can be a fear of the attention it's going to bring to us. It can be fear of vulnerability. Well, okay, what if I'm not the greatest at this? And, so that kind of stuff. And you can overcome this one by really focusing on just putting one foot in front of the other, like just moving forward and the process kind of thing and trusting the process. So number three we'll talk about today is fear of rejection. Again, we all want to belong. That's an innate thing. And so this really does stem from that negativity bias, from that need to belong. So this is a reaction to that innate need for belonging, and it can include fears of, again, being judged or not being liked or, being left all alone. And so to overcome this fear, you want to put yourself out there, reminding yourself that the right people will respond to you favorably. And remember, we always think like everybody's looking at us, everybody's judging us, but people are pretty absorbed in their own self-consciousness too. So that's something I like to remind myself too. Number four, the fear of not being good enough. They all kind of tie together. I do realize that. But this fear is really rooted in how we feel about ourselves. So this is more about self-esteem and self-confidence, right? And so this is something that is best overcome by starting with little tiny steps and really kind of focusing on the things that you can do and can accomplish well, and then building upon them. So it's like little baby steps. And this helps you to gain that confidence and resilience, if you will. So next, we're going to move on to finding your true self and beginning to move out of your comfort zone. How do we do it, right? I mean, this is all like, one sentence wonders. So a great suggestion here is to start by writing down 10 things that you already do that scare you and that you do often. I mean, it could be little things. This can include anything from, I don't know if you ride a bus. I don't really do that here, but, if you're up north or something like that, to giving a public speech. It doesn't have to be like a big thing, but if you, do a little mini talk, or if you have a presentation at work, something like that. It could be anything. It could be going outside and going to the grocery store. Not my favorite thing. So it's different for everyone. So the next thing you want to do is describe how it feels to live within your comfort zone. And be as detailed as possible, using feeling words, such as like, it's scary, it's dark, whatever. And how does it make you feel when you're in your body, when you're in your mind, in your life, when you're living in your comfort zone? Does it feel safe? Does it feel safe but a little bit anxious? Whatever it is for you, right? Now ask yourself the following questions. Okay. Are there things that I do want to achieve and yet I haven't? Am I dissatisfied with my daily life, or enjoy it? Do I want to achieve bigger things? Do my goals and passions keep appearing, or kind of that tugging, like a tugging sense, like there's something else kind of thing? Are there material or even immaterial or other things that I want and yet I still don't have them, right? Am I struggling with finding meaning or purpose in my life? Do I ever secretly feel just a little bit jealous of others who've achieved the things that I want? And this could actually be more, it could be consciously, or it's typically for me, it might be subconsciously. I'm like, oh, okay, what's this all about, right? And so once you've answered these questions, right, and I do recommend writing the answers out, like in a private journal, of course, think about what is keeping you from going after what you do want, right? Because there's always something. And what makes you uncomfortable about going after that? Is it, whatever it is for you? I don't want to put anything out there. So is it a fear? Are you reluctant to take chances? Are you kind of afraid of making changes? Stuff like that. And then next, write down 10 things that scare you, that you maybe don't do, right? And so now ask yourself, what would it be like, miracle question, if I were living outside of my comfort zone? So you want to write down describing how it feels. You can see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, all those kind of things. You want to see what the felt sense, how does it feel in your body, right? And where you actually are. And now take your time with all these steps. So it's not like a 10-minute thing. It's like, take your time. You can take a couple days, whatever it is. And when you're very, very clear on what has been kind of keeping you from stepping outside that comfort zone, reaching those goals, that full potential, then just kind of be ready to move on, right? And then you can take the next steps. So after you do have more clarity, some of the things that you might want to do, I'm not like telling you what to do, but you might create one of those vision boards of what you would like to change or what you like to have, attract, manifest, however you want to say it, into your life. It could be achieve, whatever. And then you might want to place that, if you do that, in a place where you'll see it every day, perhaps your refrigerator, if you're in a work situation, maybe little tiny thing on your desk or a locker or something. I don't know, whatever works for you, really. It's very personal. If you have a home office, obviously that's a great place to put it. Then you want to list 5 things, okay, that you're grateful for every morning when you first wake up, because it's a great way to start the day, right? It's going to put you into that positive mindset. Then do something that scares you just a little bit. I'm not saying like, oh, like go bungee lift or cliff diving or anything like crazy, but something that gives you a little bit of a sense of unease, if you will, every single day. And this is going to build that resilience because you're pushing through, kind of thing. For me, I know one of my favorite things was like in the beginning was like cryotherapy. I'd like go do a 3.5 minutes cryotherapy. So that was something interesting. Let's see. Another thing you can do is celebrate any and every kind of tiny little success. So we tend to, like we talked about this in micro habits talk, we tend to wait until, oh, we've achieved our biggest goals. No, you want to celebrate. It's just like do a little happy dance or a fist pump, whatever it is, every little tiny step you make. This just helps the subconscious mind. It releases the endorphins to say, yeah, I want to do more of this kind of stuff. So that's good for you. Let's see, you want to say, if it works for you, you can say morning affirmations in the mirror as you look at yourself, maybe repeating 1 or 2 of those throughout the day. Just make sure that they're appropriate. They're not like totally rejected by your subconscious mind, because that's really the difference between, I guess, suggestions that we use in hypnosis and affirmations. If it's something that's so disbelievable to your subconscious mind, then it's not really that good. But you could say more and more abundant and prosperous if that's your goal. All right. Next is you might want to spend at least 5 minutes every day meditating. It doesn't have to be, the whole cross-legged, all serious kind of thing, but just like quiet reflection, at least 5 minutes a day if you can. You can always do longer on some days, but don't say I'm going to do a 30-minute silent meditation in, lotus pose every morning and every night, and then, that's not really going to work for your schedule, and then you feel like, oh, well, I'm just going to quit. So if you start with something really small, like 5 minutes is very doable. You can always stay longer. Move your body for at least 10 minutes every day, and bonus points for getting outside in nature. You can do this while going for a walk, because the mind and body are, very much connected, mind, body. Moving the body can clear the mind. It can dispel your anxieties, that bilateral stimulation. It can help to ground you. And it can also help to keep aches and pains away, because your motion is lotion, as they say in like physical therapy and stuff. So when you do have a tough day, or you don't really achieve your daily goals, if you will, you really want to work on practicing self-compassion rather than self-criticism. We all have that inner critic, right? So just know that everybody has ups and downs. That's part of life. So just focus on treating yourself as you would treat a child or your best friend. At the end of the day, I highly suggest listing or journaling the things that you have achieved, that you're proud of, that were successes, and that like make you proud. So it can be 1 or 2, just like, and you can list them mentally if you don't want to journal. I'm not a big journaler, but you want to make sure that you're kind of reflecting on that at least. At the end of the day, I also suggest making a list of 5 major things that you would like to accomplish the next day. And so we always have I personally have a list of like 30 things, but the 5 major things that need to get checked off the box kind of thing. And so that kind of directs my subconscious mind, or unconscious mind, if you will, while I sleep, to work towards that. And then around bedtime, you can read 3 to 5 pages of an inspirational or educational book that you've been meaning to read. I know we all have those, right? But you never find the time to, because you think you got to read the whole thing, right? So if you read 2, 3, 5 pages every night, you're going to get a book read. If you say, oh, I've got to read a whole chapter, it might take months or never happen. So incremental, those baby steps, micro steps, right? And then when you close your eyes to go to sleep, this is one of my favorites. Imagine or visualize yourself really doing whatever you have planned for the next day with a great sense of ease and flow, that mental rehearsal. All right. So thanks for listening. I hope this has been useful to you. Have a great Mindful Monday, and we'll see you next